Hi, everybody. Happy Wednesday webinar day. So, what do you get when you cross NASCO's most popular artworks lesson plan with one of the most popular art educators in the United States? I know you can't say it out loud, but I'm sure you are all saying the most amazing webinar Wednesday ever. So seriously, I am freaking out today. I'm so excited. I even matched my t-shirt to the art. Debi West, are you so proud of me?
Proud. I'm so proud.
So the art is matching our featured guest, and her bio is so awesome. It seriously would take me about the full hour to read it all. So I did my own quick recap. She's taught all the way from littles to adults. She's been involved in art education from the Georgia Art Education Association, Youth Art Month, and the National Art Education Association, leadership at so many levels. She's been a keynote speaker for a wide variety of conferences. She shares everything she knows and helps anyone who asks her. Her infamous hashtag says it best because it's hashtag together we art better. I am blessed to call her friend. And so Debi West, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I'm super excited to be here.
Well, here's what's on the agenda first is if you want to make with us today, basically you need Sharpie and paper to do just line design and then to do Debi's hands-on. If you want to do sculpting, you're going to want to have some glue and some scissors and then like magazine or paper. Honestly, you cut some little 4-inch by 2-inch strips, roll them around a pencil, put your glue on there. And for this part, you can use a glue stick, but honestly, glue sticks are pretty temporary. I would always suggest liquid glue, and then you can start building. Now, I don't want to take away too much because we do have a little video on this as well. Basically, the short video is sharing with you that we have lesson plans that are full lesson plans for teachers. And we've started to recently create some project guides for students and for the teachers to be able to assign them. If you have not tried Nasco Educate, it is our K-to-Career platform or our K-to-Career Resource Center. It's a platform where we put a bunch of resources. Some of them are paid. Tons of them are free. There's a visual arts resource center where all of these lesson plans and the project guides will be available. When we come back, Debi will also share a little bit of hands-on with as well. So first, let's watch a really short video that kind of explains the project guide a little bit. And then we'll have Debi do her stuff afterwards. Small pause there. Sorry, everybody. Too excited. Hi, and welcome. Thanks for joining me today. I am Kris Bakke, the Customer Success Manager at Nasco Education, and today I am featuring line design into sculpture. It's a lesson plan found on Nasco Educate, the K-to-Career Resource Center. Easy to access, you click on Art Program, and when you click there, 3 folders are going to come up. The really great news is this lesson plan is in all 3. It is a lesson plan developed for 4th grade on up. So just pick the folder that suits your classroom. And when you click on it, the lesson plans will come up. And you are going to look for line design into sculpture. And you'll click on that, and your lesson plan will come up. So I want to give you a rundown of this lesson plan. I'm going to cheat and use some notes because I want to cover everything, some tips, some tricks, some history on it. This lesson plan was developed by Lori Taylor from Cambridge, Ohio. And it's really exciting because it fast became the #1 lesson plan at NASCO, and not just for visual arts. Science teachers and math teachers recognized the STEAM in it, and the engineering and the design, and it has just been one that we've reprinted many, many times, and now have it available on Nasco Educate. Let's start with the materials that you need. It is part number, there's a kit, and there's part number is 974-2813, and it's going to accommodate at least 24 students. I say that because you get 24 little bottles of glue, but kids can share, and with the amount of paper that you will be using and photocopies, chances are you can actually accommodate several classrooms, but it is set up for 24 students. Within NASCO Educate, there will be a spot for kits that you can access, but you can also find it at nascoeducation.com. This lesson plan is adaptable, and one of my favorite parts of the story is when Lori created this, she had a class of special needs students. They were able to do some fine motor skills in terms of, rolling on a paper, using a pencil to roll up the paper, using the glue, using a Sharpie marker. But the really great part is they created the 2D piece, and then they created a 3D piece, and when she displayed it for back to school, she made no mention of special needs. And the parents that came in and saw the art and realized that it was their special needs students' art just made them feel really good and made all of the students feel really good about their art. And it's nice because not every one of your students, I speak for myself for sure, is a great artist. This is something that everybody can do, because you start off with a blank piece of paper and a Sharpie marker. And so you're going to just create line designs on the paper. And you'll be able to talk about the principles of elements of design, and you'll have the students continue to work. You'd be surprised at how fast everybody shuts their tiny little mouths because they get so engrossed in what they're doing. I actually did this at my desk, and people were amazed at me not talking. So once you get done with the line design, you are now going to photocopy it. And I'll tell you a little trick too. The first time Lori had her students take their original artwork and make strips of paper, and the students were so sad because now they didn't have their artwork. So don't make that mistake. Make photocopies of it. And then, clearly you can rearrange it in different ways. Once you've made the photocopies, you're now going to follow the directions in terms of creating 2-inch by 4-inch strips. This is going to serve as the coils that you're going to make. And I would recommend a pencil or a pen, because you will take the piece of paper and just tightly roll it around the paper. And when I say tightly roll it, sometimes it gets a little bit tricky tucking that in. I wouldn't really roll it on top of your artwork like I'm doing, because you might get glue on it. That's a tip. And then I'm just going to roll it around and seal it like that, and then pull it off the pencil. You can use other glue. Elmer's glue works fabulous. It's going to take some patience, though. It's going to take a minute for this to dry, and then when you build your sculpture, it's going to take a minute. Teachers have used hot glue guns. It's a safety issue, and I'd be really careful, because as you could see, there was a lot of hands-on here. Too easy to get burned on a hot glue. If you'd use the hot glue when you come to start building your sculpture, you're going to get all that, I call it glue webs, looks like a little spider web. It can work, but I would be careful, like I said, with older students
and also for a safety factor. There is some fast drying glues out there that you can use, but at the end of the day, Elmer's Glue All works really, really well. Once you've made your little cylinders, you are now ready to build. And honestly, that's where some of the science and the math comes in, because, you know, how are you going to get it so that you can build on top? And so you're going to take a base. We used sort of a black chipboard, and you're going to just slowly start building and gluing on top. A lot of times, students get really impatient and will be like, this doesn't work. It does. You might have to take those first pieces and just really hold them together and get some things started. Once you get to a structure sort of like this, I can continue to build off of it. I kind of don't want to, because I think it's like a little mini tree house and it's kind of fun, which is a whole nother level of have somebody write a story about it too. Couple of the tips that I want to talk about. First of all, clearly adaptable. You know, you may need some help in terms of setting up the structure for younger students or for special needs students, but it can be done, and the 2D to the 3D really makes a great statement. Differentiation. You don't have to glue it on a base. When we introduced this lesson plan, it was so much fun to see what teachers did with it. Some actually didn't put it on a base, and they hung it from like fishing wire, and that was really cool. There were some people that said, hey, we're going to create some sort of like cylinder or box or some sort of structure that's a little bit more functional. You can let your students be as creative as they want with it. Really, another very cool part to it is adding in STEM and STEAM. In Miami-Dade, we had an entire group of classroom teachers, art teachers, even dance teachers, who created an engineering challenge. And so the challenge was to follow the lesson plan. However, there was a rule that it had to be like 10 inches high. It had to be able to hold, I think it was like an apple at the top. And it also had to have some sort of moving part, some sort of simple machine to it. So that became extremely creative and added the engineer tech part to it. It's an awesome opportunity to partner within the school. If you are the art teacher, you can partner with the science teacher. If you're the science teacher, you can partner with math. If you have a robotics club, how fun is it to create structures that your robotic, it's really the robot, not the robotic, the robot goes through, or maybe they pick up or do something with. Clearly, I'm not robotics, but way fun in regards to taking these lesson plans and springboarding off of them. And it's amazing how administration gets on board, because it meets a lot of the standards in regards to the visual art standards of creating, presenting, reflecting, and connecting. Add those math standards and science standards in, and you've really created a well-rounded lesson plan. It's easy to integrate in the school. The kit is available for you. It's easy stuff that any classroom teacher can use. Just to recap, on the Nasco Educate, you're going to go to the home page, the art programs, click on the level that you're at, go to the lesson plan, click on it, and the lesson plan will be there. The nice part is you can send a student there for extra credit to look at one of those lesson plans and do it. We're so excited that you joined us today, and we would love to see how you take this lesson plan and turn it into your own. We want to celebrate your students' work. You can send pictures to me. We would love to be able to get it on a gallery and for future NASCO Educate, the CADA Career Resource Center. You can post it on Nasco Education Facebook page or Nasco Art Education Facebook page. We are at Nasco Arts on Instagram. You can send it to me. I'm Kris Bakke, and my email is kbakke@enasco.com. Let us know what you think. Enjoy it. We're grateful that you're here today, and we just hope that you have fun with this lesson plan, and we're looking forward to hearing from you. Have a great rest of your school year.
Isn't that cool? That was actually a little bit of a longer version that I did. There is going to be a project guide version as well. And I like to point out that right now, especially with distance learning, it's a great time for you to be able to say, hey, even if you just have some glue and some magazines, some newspapers, you can do this. Because if Kris Bakke can create this super cool little structure, anyone can do it. It does take some patience though, because you just have to wait while the glue dries a little bit. So excited to turn this over to Debbie. And as she is flipping her screen down and getting ready, I want to point out in the little sidebar of your screen, there's a section that says Handouts 1. And if you click on that, an entire, let me see if I can find it in my stuff, an entire packet of Debbie's material that she has worked so hard on, with everything here you can download and have for future reference. So Debbie, take over the stage, please, and I am going to make right along with you.
Awesome. Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to be here. Kris, I just wanted to let you know, I love that lesson that you just shared. I think it is such a fun lesson, and it really is always successful. So I think that's what we're looking for, right? We're looking for lessons that kids are going to learn a lot, but they're also going to be successful with. And I've used that lesson with my elementary kiddos at the art camps that I teach, and also with my high school kids. So really challenge your high school kids too. If you're a high school teacher, you know, don't think that this might be beneath them. They love this lesson. Okay, so I am old school, so I am all about the handout. I make handouts for all the presentations that I do. And on this handout, you're going to notice that I do a little bit of the history of handout. So of hand art, not of handout. So I've got the prehistoric man, to Michelangelo, to Durer and Da Vinci, and all the dead European white guys. And then a little bit of Escher, Picasso. We also talk in here a little bit about the Mendy hand art, you know, the hennas, and the history behind the hennas. And then we move into the whole idea of contemporary art, where I actually even add a piece of art that I love by Jean Quick-to-See Smith. If you're not familiar with her, totally check her out. She's amazing. And then we talk a little bit about the Ndebele tribal art. And I had the amazing opportunity to go to South Africa, not once, but twice. Visited the schools, worked with some of the different tribes there, and was really fascinated by the history of the patterns and the line and the shape work of the Ndebele tribe. And so I think you're going to be intrigued by this bit of information, and your kids will love it. So why do I share all that with you before we move into this hand art project? Because I always feel like we sometimes just want to get to the making, and we sometimes forget about how art documents the world, right? And how the history of art is as equally important as the process of creating the art. So I feel like sometimes when you can quickly throw these stories in, grab the kids' attention, or if you got a group of kids that are like, yeah, you lost me at hello, get them started on the hands-on part, and then start going, oh, guys, I need everybody's attention, you know, and turn off all the lights and put up that slide of, you know, the cave art, and be like, okay, let's talk about this. What do we see? We see handprints, and then move from there, because then you're going to get the kids really intrigued by that. Believe it or not, there's a way to make it fun. Now, in the packet, I also have the elements of art, because, you know, they're the building blocks of art, and without them, we ain't got no art. And then I have a sheet about Zentangles, and just about sort of what Kris was just talking about in the NASCO handout, just a meditative process when you go into mindfulness and you just it's almost relaxing. You know, I love what Kris said. She goes, you know, when I'm doing Zentangles, everybody in the office is like, is Kris quiet right now? And I have the same effect. I mean, I literally just go to the zone and enjoy it. Now, along with the Zentangles, what I like to do, and I don't know if I put this in the packet, y'all, and if I didn't, I'll send it to Kris and she'll get it out to y'all. But I like to teach what's called the line families. I keep one together on the side there. And the line families are pretty cool because it's actually 3 different ways of teaching lines. We've obviously got our straight lines, and then you bend the line and you've got your curved lines, and then you break the line and you've got your angled lines. And so I tend to start off that way and then move into how you can take these angled, curved, or straight lines and turn them into shapes, which in a sense turns them into the Zentangle. Okay, so that was my little bit of talking. Now I'm going to move my camera down here. Isn't that nifty? And the first thing I'm going to do is talk to my kids about their hands. And hands are pretty magical because there's nobody's hand that's like your hand, right? You've got your own fingerprint and nobody else in the world has it. You've got your own handprint and nobody else in the whole world has it. So each of these hands that the kids are about to create, or that y'all are about to create, are very unique and different. So depending on where your kiddos are, what level they are, I would start with talking about contour lines, the outer and inner edge of each line, and either have kids start doing some blind contour drawings of their hand, partial blind contours, or if your kids are really stuck with that, OMG. Transparency paper is our friend, okay? So, and I'm not going to do this right now because we have very limited time, but take the transparency sheet, put it on top of their hand, pick up your Sharpie, and then go around the lines that they see. So are you ready? Look how fast I did that. Just like that. Now there are the contour lines of their hand. They take this, they put it onto a piece of paper like so, and y'all, they can see proportion, they can see contour, inner and outer lines of their hand, and now we're going to move on from there. Now that we kind of practice drawing our hand, now we're going to have some fun with our hand. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put the hand away, and this is what all the kids always want to do. Can I just trace my hand for the love of God? Now, guess what, guys? You get to trace your hand. So for this lesson, what you're going to do is you're going to put your hand down here. And again, just to save some time, I went ahead and did it. Oh, and here's another one. So obviously we can use a regular Sharpie. I feel like I'm not in the screen. Let me turn that a little bit. How's that? You can take a regular old Sharpie and do your line. Some kids get freaked out if they get marks on their hands, so start with a pencil and then have them go over the line that they did in pencil with their Sharpie so they don't get Sharpie on their hand. Then we also have line quality. So I recommend using a thick Sharpie and a thin Sharpie so you can kind of play with some of that line quality. So for example, see how thick that first line is, and then I come down here. I wanted to sort of create that contour feel. And just like that, I got a little bit of 2 lines in there, so line thickness, line weight. I also love all things drawing pins. Drawing pins are our friend. And let's say that your kiddos are like, yeah, I don't have any Sharpies. Sharpies are not the most affordable thing in the world. I'm stuck. Guess what works, guys? A black crayon. Oops, there we go. A black crayon works wonders. And so does a black oil pastel, right? So they can use any black marking tool that they want to just do the outline of their hand. And then a couple things happen. I'll lift this up again real quick. The first thing is they can just leave this as it is and then begin to come in, okay, and break it up. And what I like to do is go, okay, give me one vertical line, give me a few horizontal lines, and then step away, kind of guide them in the beginning, and then let this all be them. But where are we going to break this up and begin to come in and add some of the line designs and some of the Zentangle designs inside the hand? I haven't finished this one. I was just playing with this one earlier today. But here's another really cool thing you can do. You can then also have your kiddos cut out their hand, right? Hey, how we doing? Gotta hand it to you. You guys rock. So now we've got the positive hand. This is a great way to teach shape. And we've got the negative hand, okay? So here you need to sit like that. Here we go. So we got positive and we got negative. Now, what do we do with these? Well, this is a great thing to do too. What if you had your kids do the Zentangle and the design around here, and then a story went inside here, right? So they took this and they actually put it onto a colored piece of paper. I got all my props here for y'all because of our limited amount of time. So there you go. Now I got a piece of blue paper behind it. And I artified the negative space, and then we discussed negative and positive. And then that brings us back to the prehistoric art on the cave walls. I mean, how genius that the cavemen had the insightfulness, the creativity to put their mark or their hand on a wall and take, you know, pigment to put around it, move their hand and see the outline of their hand. It's pretty cool stuff, and kids love to do this. So another really fun thing to do, well, I'm not done yet, guys, this is just so much fun, is imagine, and I think that Nasco has these, and if they don't, they're gonna get them. These are blow pens. Oh, you gotta have them, they're so cool, right? Take the blow pen, put the marker in here, put it like this. Now, obviously, especially with my Corona, and even without my Corona, you don't want kids blowing on these. So give each kiddo a straw, and they blow out of a straw into their blow pen. These are my own blow pens, but
Yeah, we need the blow pens.
oh yeah. Okay, breathe, by the way, so you don't pass out when you're doing this. But basically, guys, what it is, it's your own airbrush. Oh my gosh, stop it. And just like that, they've now created, in a sense, their own cave art mark onto this piece of paper. And then they can begin to come in and Zentangle inside of here, write a story inside of here, paint around here, do an oil pastel glow. And I'm going to talk about that in a second because I think we still have a little bit of time, don't we, Kris? Yes? Are we good on time? Yes?
Yep, doing good.
Okay, good. I'm moving on. Let's say that they get this done, and we're just going to stick with the regular hand design lesson that you've actually got in your handout. You've got the full lesson, and I think I've got a couple of I think those are 4th grade examples that are in there that you see. So I'm going to bring this down again, kiddos. Here we go, kiddos, like my kids. And now what I'm going to do is I want to come in here, and I'm just going to assume that this whole thing is done. I might suggest that we come in here and add a little bit more there, but it might be that we like the contrast of being kind of busy here and a little bit less busy in some of these other areas. And then I'm going to take, and these are my all-time favorite markers in the whole wide world. I'm a Mr. Sketch fanatic because I feel like I can teach my kiddos to paint with these. And imagine that that's your paint tip and the paint's inside. So now I'm just going to come in here. There's a thin side. I love that chisel tip. Can come, probably shouldn't be using yellow. It might be too light for y'all to see. Notice I'm coming around the edge, and then I whoop, whoop, and just like that, I painted that in. Now, what I like to tell my kids is if you've started in one place with yellow, keep it going, right? Because the purpose is you want your eye to move around the work. So I'm going to come up here and do a little bit of a pattern of yellow right there. I might want to do another little pattern of yellow down here. So instead of just using yellow, putting the lid on it, using orange, putting the lid on it, using blue, putting the lid on it, move around your paper with one color. I'm going to now take some orange. Oh, and by the way, it's a snowy marker. So you guys see it, right? My little kindergartners used to crack me out because I'd be like, guys, you have to paint, smell, paint. And kids are like, I'm not smelling, and their noses would be a rainbow. So cute. I miss my kiddos. Okay, so notice what I'm doing. I'm painting around my shape. So if I put a little bit of orange there, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to come over here, put some orange here, whoop, put that in like so. And this, by the way, painting with marker, oh, it brings me happy. Oh, and not only does Mr. Sketch have these fat markers with the beautiful chisel tip, they also have the skinnies, which are pretty cool. I don't have them at the moment, but I had them in my classroom, and they were pretty stinking awesome. So there's a little bit of orange pattern right there. And I'm going to keep going with that, and I'm going to fill it in. And I actually don't even have a finished one because I sort of ran out of time. But let's now imagine, do we need a little bit of, I think we do need a touch of cool color in here. What do you think? So I'll come in here with my blue. Oh, by the way, note to self, note to y'all, the dark blue, the dark green, and the purple are very dark. So I always tell my kiddos to do a little bit of practicing in their journals first so that they can see how dark excuse me, the dark blue, the dark green, and the purple are going to be. And I highly suggest you use those because I'm using a light blue right now, and you can even see how dark that is. So use those darker colors in the smaller areas. Okay, so here we go. That's where we are at the moment. Notice I did have a piece of paper. By the way, I'm just using copy paper too. I know our kiddos, for them to get drawing paper right now can be tricky. So this is just simple copy paper that you can get at Walmart. And I put a piece of paper underneath it so that it doesn't bleed through. Now, here comes the super duper cool part. Let's say we get our whole hand colored in. We're feeling really good about it. And if I tell the kids it's essentially like they just made their own coloring book page, and now what we want to do is, we want to take the oil pastels. Now chalk works too, this way. Chalk works too, but oil pastel is my favorite. Again, if your kids can't get a hold of this, maybe watered down food coloring, maybe a little bit of watercolor, and they take a straw and they blow on that. Because what we want to do is we want to get a glow here. So notice what I'm doing. I'm coming in with my oil pastel. Oh, by the way, I always have them do this last. So this would be done, right? Their hand would be finished, and then they're going to take their oil pastel. Now, y'all, remember how we talked about how you sometimes have to use your muscle in art? You're going to definitely want to use your muscle. I don't know if we said it here, but I would say it to my kids. Here, you have to get the oil pastel actually on the paper. And then you take your finger and you push, and if pushing isn't comfortable, you can turn it this way and you can pull. So, you know, let kids experiment and practice this in their journal on an extra piece of paper. And then imagine what happens there this way, where you get this beautiful glow all around your hand. Now, you're going to notice that I've got one that's here that's a little bit more in process. This one, I'll show you a couple things that I did. This one, I went ahead and used a line design to write my name inside here. So now we know that this is Debi's hand, right? This is really fun, and you can even teach a little bit about the calligraphic line, talking about handwriting, because I know so many of our kids, it's such a lost art, and so many of our kids are like, I just want to learn a little bit of cursive, right? So coming in here, adding their name, filling this in. Notice I've taken my oil pastel. I would go all the way around that. Or some kids decide that they just want to do around the edge instead of around their hand. And then I give them tell them to take out a pencil, and they begin to write a story. So I started right here. Today I'm making art for me. I needed to soothe my soul. And then I'll just keep going, maybe about the quarantine, about how I'm feeling right now, about how excited I am to be with all of you today and hanging out with my girl, Kris Bakke, and how awesome Nasco is. And I would just do some journaling and maybe even some gratitude journaling. Like, what am I thankful for, right? Well, I'm thankful for my hands because they let me eat. And dear Lord, have I been doing a lot of that over the last 40 days. So anyway, when this is finished, now you've got a beautiful artwork. And you'll notice on one of them, I added a feather. You can bring in that whole idea of art history. I'm going to lift this up now, of art history, or maybe you want to teach them about the Ndebele tribe. And they're going to do a whole Ndebele tribe design or pattern on here. And you'll notice in that lesson, in that handout that I gave you, the colors are meaningful. So those patterns that are on the walls of the Ndebele huts and houses, they're secret messages that they're leaving to one another. It started in the early 1800s after they lost the war. So it was a way of them to express themselves, but it's also about messaging. So how cool if kids kind of came up with their own messages and they're hanging on the wall, and as you're going through and having your kids critique them, they have to go, oh, here's the message that Sue is telling me. Here's the message that Bobby's telling me. So I just think that the possibilities of what you can do with this are insane. So let's just do a real quick recap. We've got contour line right here. Boom, 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 with transparency. Once we do that, maybe they do some blind contour studies, right, on a piece of paper, and they play with those, and they always think that's a hoot. Then they trace their hand, looking at their hand. They can play with thin and thick line quality. Then they take a look at line families, which we've got right here. I can't believe how organized I am. It's so not like me. Okay, line families, and maybe even a quick example of the Zentangle sheets. I feel like for me, I'm okay just looking at the line family sheet, but man, when I get a little bit of that Zentangle family information in front of me, I'm like, oh, here we go. Because you can be creative with it, but then to get a jump start to see some other ones, you can get really creative with it. And then there's the whole idea of maybe cutting out the hand, playing with the negative space, the positive space, playing with some pigment to blow into it to show negative, positive. Here's the caveman art right there, a little bit of glare, I think, from my dining room table. I have a beautiful studio downstairs, but the internet doesn't work down there. Here we go. And then finally, coming in, adding your own designs, coloring in, painting with marker, playing with an oil pastel glow around the edge, and then writing your story. So the possibilities are huge, man, of what you can do this. And I gotta tell you something, kids love it. All kids love this. Story hands, right? It's telling them we care, we want to know their story, we care about who they are as individuals. I just had another brain smart that I've done.
Can I flip to me too? Can we flip so that we can talk to each other?
Do I need to do that? Okay, oh good.
No.
I was like, I don't have to do it.
Yes. Yes, you need to be in complete control starting now. I'm just kidding. We're all good. We've got Andy in the background. No, if you are done actually physically demonstrating, now we can chit chat and I can throw out some of the things too. But sorry, I interrupted. Keep going.
Oh, no, you're good. You're good. I was just going to say a fun thing to do is now that I'm a retired-ish teacher, I own an educational consulting company. So I'm actually going into schools when there are schools in process, and I am doing residencies, and I'm working with school districts and like all, not just the art teachers, like the whole school. So I've done a couple language arts and visual art integrated residencies, which have been pretty cool. So I take this lesson, and when we're having kids kind of think about storytelling and literacy, who's the main character? Put the main character's name here, and then where's the setting? What's the conflict? What's the resolution? Maybe some characteristics about the character in the hand. I mean, that's just one more extension as to where this lesson can go. And I think that's why I love it so much. It's taking the line and making a visual story.
I love the fact that you gave us so much differentiation. In fact, we had a couple people, Christine said that she did an activity similar where she used black paper and white gel pens. Very cool.
Yes,
Love that.
Yes.
And also, you can
and look, I have a white gel pen right here. Go, Christine.
Yes, absolutely. And skin tones. And I think that is phenomenal. I think in a world where we need to teach social justice and cultural differences, oh my gosh, so important more than ever. I'm giggling because I played around a little bit and I used a little bit of Cheryl Neal's graphic art and played a little bit. And then I did color on the outside.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's so much fun.
So much. Can I go back real quick to the multicultural? I am maybe one of the biggest fans of the Crayola multicultural crayons. And then there's another company, and I can't remember the name, Kris, I'm sure Nasco has them, but they're multicultural they're like fat colored pencils. They're awesome too. And the thing that's interesting about this lesson, and again, I'm glad you bring this up, is when our kids are just choosing colors that make them feel good, or you could also do a whole color harmony series on this, and maybe the inside of the hand, the positive space are all your cool colors, and the negative space is all your warm colors, right? Or primary, secondary, however you want to do it. But if it's colors that represent them, then it's not about skin color anymore. It's about humankind, right? And
Yep.
so, but I think this is great if they come in, because I used to have all my kids, put their hands together and we talk about what colors you see. Well, there is no black and there's no white. There's just lovely shades of browns and yellows and pinks, and that was always really eye-opening, especially for the little ones. And sometimes that wasn't a bad idea to bring back home for some of the big ones. Like, how we doing now, people with a heart? Right? So you're making it about all humans have hands, and then brainstorming, what do our hands do? And tying it into as much art history as you want to tie it into, and as much time, the one thing art teachers don't have enough of, time and money. So, there's that. So, figure out how this lesson works for your kiddos, in your district, in your school, because that's essentially what this is about. I love to throw lesson ideas out there and then see where art teachers can springboard and make it their own.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
We have a really good comment from Tara. She says, can NASCO make an official switch from STEM to STEAM? There's always art involved. We get it. I promise you we get it. The A is 100% there. The reason that we say STEM, STEAM is because we are trying to accommodate everybody. And there is some very purists that say the acronym is STEM. And even though there's design in there, and we know that that's the A in STEAM, they're just going to stick with STEM. And so for our pure scientists that, I don't want to say that they're afraid of art, but that would be not nice. But
well, I like that you say that.
So that's why we do a STEM STEAM thing. To tell you the truth, we sort of followed a little bit of the Georgia Department of Education's lead, who also acknowledges STEM STEAM, so that the original acronym is there, but we are also saying that the A is important and we acknowledge it. So try not to be offended if you are an art teacher, because design is there. And in fact, today I was just thinking, when Debbie, when you say together we are better, like so much of what we do is art. And the minute you take that away, not much is left.
Exactly. And I love that she mentioned that, Tara mentioned that. I teach with the Art of Education University, and I'm currently teaching the project-based art class. And this week, ironically, is all about STEAM. So my students and I are having some really great conversations. And something that I've always said is, if your school is stuck in STEM world and you're all about full speed ahead, need a little steam in the engine, be that advocate. This is our time to educate those that are ignorant as to how powerful and how necessary the arts can be. I mean, art education, we are teaching everything. And 88% of our current job force is seeking our students. Our room is essentially the most important room in the building, just saying.
Yep, totally agree. In fact, when I started off saying the most popular lesson plan at NASCO, it is because this is not only art, it is science. And when I did the workshop for Miami-Dade, it was not just art teachers, it was science, it was math, it was classroom teachers, it was dance teachers, and they did a little mini version of this. They had parameters that was centered around engineering. And so they had to create it so that it turned into like a simple machine with, moving parts and stuff. It was super good and it was crazy. And I'll tell you, they clustered in teams, and the teams that had an art teacher on it score. I'm just saying. Who else has questions? Please, by all means, send your questions. We're probably going to close a little bit early today, about 5 minutes, just because it's webinar Wednesday and we have another webinar starting at noon for, I believe, science or something. I probably should have paid attention, and now it's on for all of you to see that I didn't, but I just didn't want you to panic thinking it was another art one. So any more questions for Debbie? So Debbie, you have had just a wide variety of experience, and you are very much project-based learning, right? It's how, tell us a little bit about how you define project-based learning.
Well, I mean, that's a loaded question, because depending on who you're talking to,
right? What
the
the heck?
resource that you're getting. So, you know, a lot of teachers will say that project-based learning is like the whole idea of tab and choice. And I love choice. I'm about choice, but I'm also about, I want to teach some of the foundational stuff instead of being completely tab, where kids are just, it's all for, you know, the artistic behavior, and they're just, when they want to know about color study, they will, or color harmony, they will learn about color harmony. So I'm a little bit more regimented in that I like to start it off and go, okay, so here's 5 different ways that you can play with a marker. Now let me see how you play with a marker, giving kids time to experiment, and then giving them some prompts to get the creative wheels going. And that's when they become the makers of their own learning. So in art, I feel like we already are. We are STEAM, even if we don't think we are. We are project-based learning. You know, and again, taking this lightly, because it depends how deep you want to go. We are maker spaces. We are design thinking. We are arts integration. We are the connector. Visual art is the connector that's connecting it all together. So one of the reasons that I retired early, which was really painful for me, but I was having some health issues, and like all the teachers out there, I was spending 70, 80 hours a week at school. And from what I'm hearing, you're spending like 100 now a week on your computers with this whole, you know, online teaching. So God bless you, man. I love you guys so much. It actually makes me want to cry with how much I love you guys. But my thought was, I want to be able to go out there while I still can and educate others as to what project-based learning is in the regular classrooms. So I'm essentially bringing art and art thinking ideas, design thinking ideas to K-12 and school districts across the nation, because it's such a buzzword, but are people really using it right? Sort of like STEAM. I mean, how many times do we hear somebody go, yeah, I did STEAM instead of STEM because look, my kids colored in a beaker. Oh, ouch. Pretty sure that's not really STEAM. But if you don't know, that's awesome. You know what I'm saying? Like A for effort, or I guess
yes.
for effort. But you get an A because you're thinking and you're trying. So how can we come in and educate and go, okay, I get where you're trying to go. And because I've got, you know, 20, actually 30 years now in the classroom and out of the classroom experience, and like, you know, my life is art education, let me come in and see how I can help you. And essentially when you're helping the teachers, and you're helping the kids, right? And that's my favorite thing, is when I get to residencies and I'm working with the kids. My last residency was in Atlanta public schools, and I had 6 classes of kindergartners for 4 days, and we built an entire community together. We used every art imaginable. These teachers were like, I didn't know my kids could do that. And I was like, right. So you know, project-based learning is about learning, but showing it. It's authentic assessment.
Absolutely. I love Terry's comment about music uses both of the students' hand, and visual arts typically uses one. And so to combine those two together, sort of whole student learning, I love that. Lee is also about project-based learning, because you're awesome, no doubt. The other thing you had, so many good things. Oh, I love, by the way, I'm going to go back to the hands-on, the blind contour thing. Yeah. So much fun. We have a lesson plan on that. And I just, oh my gosh, I was cracking up because it takes practice. So there should be, I may even, we're going to start in June something called Maker Mondays. So little shortened versions of these, maybe half an hour, where we just do some making. And so I'll invite some teachers, and we may do a blind contour one. I do want to remind everybody as well that the line handout is not in the packet, but we will get it to you. The one where you
the line families.
The line families, yes. You know, the
and you know what?
bending and the breaking, and yes.
Yeah, I'll get that to you.
So much fun. So absolutely, we can do that as well. So much. I mean, I love this. I guess I just never even really, I worked at Nasco for 16 years, and you hear about line being one of the elements and principles of art and design. And so I knew that. But it's so interesting that between Monday's neurographic art, where you did such cool, swirly and curve the lines, to today's line design and talking about Zentangle, like this is a line, this is a mark on a piece of paper. Like anybody can be successful. And that's what makes me so happy when I do art, is when I see something and I think, oh, I can do that, and I try it and I'm successful. It's like, yay. And I know that your kids feel that way too. I always joke that, I'm an artist because art teachers tell me I'm an artist, but I really say I am like this perpetual art student because I have 90,000 art teachers and I learn all the time. And so it's so awesome.
Me too. That's a great line. I think all of us as art teachers, when I say together we art better, I mean it. Because the more we are sharing and learning from each other and being the student and being the mentor, being the lifelong learner, the better our kids are for it, right? So I wholeheartedly mean that. And another thing I wanted to say, Kris, one of my favorite lines is Paul Klee, and he says, a drawing is a line going for a walk. And then he brings it even further down and says a line is a dot going for a walk. And so really the most important thing in all of art, in my opinion, it's subjective here, but it's line, because line is the beginning of all things art. And when you're drawing, it's, the contour line. I mean, teaching contour to me is essential for teaching drawing. And just getting it in the kids' head. Like I used to have my kids at all ages, all the way up, working in their visual journals, because I wanted them to practice, to play, to learn. You go to my Pinterest boards, I've got over 2,000 student examples of my students' amazing journal spreads each week. It was awesome. Yeah.
And I love that you say that, because there's so many ideas out there, like journals, where lots of people are doing them, which is awesome. But if we continue to all share what we're doing, whether it's line design or the hands or the journals or whatever, like you see another idea and another idea. Charity sends a message that says, thanks, you two needed the inspiration, not a question, just a thanks.
Oh,
but honestly,
Charity, and I love your name.
I do this because you are my inspiration. Like Debbie and Lee and Terry and Christine and Charity and all of you that are watching I swear to you, like I can't imagine not serving art teachers for a living. Because
right? I love them so much.
I mean, seriously, you have the biggest servant hearts that I know, and you guys are doing so much for students right now in a time of craziness. And you know what? It is what makes us better. It is together we art better. And so we have about 2 minutes. I wanted to share with you that, Debbie, do you have a Pinterest page?
Yeah, DEWE Studio.
Okay, so
no, I've had it since I think the conception of Pinterest. So it's stupid how many pins I have. I always used to tell my kids it's good toilet reading. They're like, damn, girl, you're on the toilet a lot. So
I don't, because I'm afraid I'm going to get sucked into it. I know it's weird, but I don't need a Pinterest page because I serve 90,000 art teachers for a living. You are my Pinterest page. You guys, I do want to tell you that if you are interested in having Debbie as a consultant at your school, a speaker for, whether it's a conference or, a district meeting, you are welcome to get a hold of her. We've posted it in the comments, but it's DEWESTUDIO@gmail.com. You can certainly email me. I am Kris Bakke. I don't think I ever introduced myself. You know, it's one of those things. I think you know me. Yeah, I'm
Me too, and we loved you.
because I get to do this. So like, you know, like my mom thinks I'm a celebrity. So anyways, I got one fan, but you can email me at kbakke@nascoeducation.com. We have a Nasco Art Education Facebook page. We are Nasco Arts on Instagram. Love to see your hands or your Zentangles or your line design. Debbie, I can't thank you enough for sharing your time and sharing all your resources. You make us better, and you are fabulous, and I absolutely adore you. Thank you so, so much.
Kris, thank you for having me, and tell Nasco how much I love them. I mean, Nasco really is the real deal. I don't know of another company that supports art teachers like you guys do. So thank you. Thank you for this. Thank you for these free webinars that you're doing. Thank you for loving us. And for everybody who's out there right now, thank you for what you guys are doing. Seriously, like, you guys are, you know, we don't take you for granted because you rock. Get it? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So Monday, the 18th, we're going to do paper collage and mail art with Beth Allums. So Debbie, thank you. Together we art better, and everybody be well, be safe, and keep teaching art.